All right, yeah, Schizo Jits here, talking about UFC 291. I'm gonna talk mostly about the main card. Unbelievable fight card in Salt Lake City. They had. I just got finished watching the press conference. Not too much fireworks, a little boring. Not much action. I mean, not nothing really crazy. Bobby Green and Tony Ferguson had a little bit of back and forth. There's a little bit of heat there, stemming from, I think. Well, I'll get into that. I'll go fight by fight, but because this card is stacked, it's stacked top to bottom. But I'm just going to talk about the main card. Salt Lake City, which I will be at. I'm going, and we're flying out tomorrow morning. My wife's birthday. Then we're gonna go out and we're gonna see the weigh-ins and the fights. We're gonna get there in time for the weigh-ins. So I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait just to be around that crowd. And this card could. This is a BMF title at the top, but this whole card could be a BMF card. I mean, at least the main card. I mean, actually the prelims too, but the main card starts off with Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Holland, which is a good fight right there. Chiesa had a long layoff, so he's coming back, and Holland just got a finish over Ponzinibbio back in April. So, I mean, he's been looking good, leveling up. Then you got Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green, like two OGs, you know what I mean? Al Kukui versus Mean Bobby King Green, so that's going to be a banger right there. That's guaranteed. Both unorthodox style fighters. You got, Bobby Green with the hands down style. You got Tony Ferguson with just, you don't know what he's going to do. Some Wing Chun, some whatever, Taibo. No, who knows? I mean, he does crazy stuff. He always has unorthodox, and he can wrestle. So, I mean, he always has that in his back pocket. So that fight right there is a banger. That could be an OG BMF type, belt. Then you got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Michelle Pahea, same as Alex. Yeah, Michelle Pahea, which is another crazy fight because you have Wonder Boy, who's totally unorthodox. I mean, well, he's a a karate fighter, right? So he has that kind of like Cobra Kai style a little bit with kicking. I mean, every kick in the arsenal, he landed on Kevin Holland. His last fight, I mean, he looked great. So age is just whatever, a number in that one. But you got Michelle Pahea, who does crazy unorthodox stuff like capoeira type flips and side kicks and just crazy stuff, like cartwheel kicks. I mean, whatever he could think of in the moment, he'll do it. Real explosive, in a 3-rounder, but you got to keep in mind on this card, altitude could become a factor again, just like last year when Usman lost to Leon Edwards. That was the last time they were in Salt Lake, I believe, a year ago. Everybody kind of gassed a little bit in that fight, and that could play a factor again, unfortunately. But in 3 rounds, I think these guys they should be able to do all right, you know what I mean? And then you got Jan Blachowicz or Blachowicz, however you want to say that, against Alex Pahea Poatan. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited for this fight. I can't wait for this freaking fight right here. To me, this is kind of like the people's main, I think, a little bit, because you can't really take anything for Poirier, the main event. But these guys, Pahea is a beast. I mean, just everyone's interested to see, how he bounces back from getting knocked out cold by Izzy. And then you got Jan, who, he's 40 now. He's getting a little older. So, I mean, who knows what he has left. I mean, he has power, Polish power. But, yeah, that's going to be a banger right there. That's guaranteed fireworks right there. And, of course, the main event, the BMF belt, this part 2, going to be handed over from Jorge Masvidal, the original BMF. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Dustin versus Justin, DPJG. I mean, that fight is just amazing. The first fight was a banger. This is a rematch. Poirier taking the first fight, I think 4th round finish, I believe it was. But I mean, it was just a crazy fight where anyone could have won at any time, really. I mean, there's so much damage inflicted in that fight. But we'll get to that. I'm gonna break down these fights one by one, at least the main card anyway. This card is just stacked. There's even return to Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is coming back. So I mean, that's another banger. I mean, he's always exciting to watch anyway. Whether win, lose, or draw. Derek Lewis is there. My ball is this hot. I think my ball is going to be hot in Utah too. So that's, they've been hot here in the Inland Empire in the IE, but now we're going to Utah. But yeah, so we got Michael Chiesa and Kevin Holland. These guys are, Chiesa's a vet. He hasn't fought for a while. He's battled through some injuries. We got Holland, who's been active. Basically, since he's been on the scene, he's been active. He's always wanting to fight. He's always down. He's always stepping up. fighting whoever, and sometimes to his detriment. Like where he took some losses or whatever. But at the same time, like big deal. It don't even affect him so bad. It doesn't hurt him because he's still a fan favorite. He has a mouthpiece. He's really well rounded. He's got kung fu background. You know what I mean? So he does a little bit of everything. Jiu-jitsu, his hands. He's got a lot of power. He's got that skinny guy power. Just solid fists and he's from the IE too. He's from Riverside. So shout out to Kevin Holland. I mean, but and you got Michael Chiesa, like I said, a vet in the game, has a podcast, works with the UFC. How hungry is he? But, I mean, not to take anything away from Chiesa. I mean, if it comes to just a straight grappling match and Chiesa is a hammer and he gets the takedown and gets those positions, I feel like Chiesa could. I feel like he can control the fight, or maybe, I don't know if he could hold Kevin down for just 3 rounds and beat him up or whatever, because Kevin Holland does have a black belt in jiu-jitsu himself under Travis Lutter. So, I mean, he is accustomed to being in these positions. I don't think it's just going to be like some foreign territory for him if he is on his back. And he's pretty active. He throws a lot of elbows and strikes from the bottom. So I could see him, Chiesa getting some stuff and Holland either doing damage and getting right back up. And that will kind of, because on the feet, I feel like Holland would just kind of pick apart Chiesa. He has a lot of power, huge reach advantage, like 5-6 inches reach advantage, so I mean, that's going to play in a factor. And he has power, like in both hands, kicks. I mean, he really has hands more than anything, but, and he's tough too. He's got a chin, so Holland could take a punch, and he's talking shit to you the whole time. He's talking crap, talking about your mama, talking about whatever, And Chiesa, I mean, said he's a vet. He's always tough. He has good rear naked chokes, had good submissions, guillotines. I mean, but so if there's a way for Chiesa to win, I don't think he just wins a decision by laying on or controlling Kevin Holland. I don't see that happening. I think it would have to be more of a finish, like a guillotine or a rear naked from Chiesa, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm picking Kevin Holland to win this fight on the feet. I feel like he hurts Chiesa. He has a huge reach advantage, and his striking is just way better than Chiesa. Chiesa never really had that striking. He has power. He has pop for sure. He drops people. He's hurt people, but no knockouts on his record. I mean, 6'1" against 6'3". Chiesa is a big dude, so he looks pretty much like the thicker guy. And he has grappling. He does have good wrestling. I mean, I remember from the back of the days of Tough, he's taking everyone down and doing what he wants to him. So, I mean, I could see that scenario, but I'm picking Kevin Holland to win this fight and just, I don't know, move up or put another victory under his belt because he stays so active. It's kind of like a cowboy, type where he's just always ready to fight. And Dana and the UFC, us fans, we know we got to love that. So I think UFC, that's one thing, like you don't lose as much when you're willing to fight all the time and willing to take on whoever, at whatever, short notice, whatever, even if it means you might lose, you can show up. I mean, the Kamzat, that was a little, that was like he was just brought in for the slaughter. That was horrible for him. It made him, but he still didn't lose much because he still bounced back next fight and gets a win, a finish. So, it's one thing about Holland. You can't break him. If he doesn't want to fight, he won't fight again, but you're not going to just be like break him, like I would like to see him in doing some like just straight up stand-up fights. Like I wish Dana, UFC, like they talked about Zuffa boxing before. I don't know exactly what that meant. I don't know if that just meant boxers but I would like to see the UFC fighters be able to either have boxing or kickboxing matches under the UFC umbrella. Like all these fights, Kevin Holland, Chiesa, not so much of the boxing, but even the main event, or Pahea, Jan, like all these fights could basically be stand-up fights. Yeah, so I'm picking Kevin Holland to take this fight. I'm thinking it's going to be a first or second round TKO, I believe. I think if it does go 3 rounds, and maybe, I could still see Holland actually, if he could keep it standing, win. The takedown, rinse, repeat, lay on you. I feel like it could work a little bit for Chiesa. Like he definitely is probably a stronger grappler or a stronger man, or whatever, fighter. But overall, like just skill wise, I feel like Kevin Holland is just better. I feel like he's just more evolved as far as everything he brings to the table. They're both skilled on the ground. I just feel like Holland's just a little more, definitely more polished on the feet. I mean, everybody knows that, and just diverse striking. I don't see a world where, and he has a great chin. I don't see a world where he gets touched up or anything by Chiesa, or caught. I mean, maybe the takedowns, but I'm saying for sure, Holland's been trying to level up his wrestling game and jiu-jitsu and everything for a long time. So it's mixed martial arts. So I mean, he's got to be ready for everything. And that brings us to the next one, which is Tony Ferguson, Al Kukui versus Bobby Green, King Green. I mean, this is a great fight right here. This is like a crazy fight. I remember I did have Bobby Green on my podcast. It was a while back, 2020, like December 2020, right? It was or so, and or 21 maybe. I gotta look back, but But anyway, I had Bobby on, and I actually brought up this fight like as a potential matchup. Like, what would you think? Would he willing for that fight? And that he liked that idea. He was like, yeah, that's a good fight. Actually, yeah, I would take that fight. And I think it's kind of weird. Like, say, like Bobby Green's cool with like Nate Diaz and these guys, but like Tony Ferguson is he cool? I mean, not to talk crap, because I'm a fan. I've always been a fan of Ferguson. I actually kind of liked him even when he was on Tough and everyone was kind of hating on him, or he at least had that persona. He's always been kind of that kind of loner, outlier type dude by himself or whatever, not so much with an entourage and everything. So, I mean, kind of just, does he have like that many people like having his back? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's up with him. And he definitely he's looked a little older. He's lost 5 straight, but I mean, he has all the skills to be, one of the best in the world, or the best. I mean, like, it could have been Ferguson and Khabib that they tried to make 4 times. That was the fight to make for a reason. Tony was on a 11, 12 fight win streak, just piecing up everyone, all these contenders, and just finding ways to win, and he does do that. And he has a huge reach advantage here in this one, like a 5.5-inch reach advantage on Bobby. Bobby Green they're both diverse strikers. I mean, Tony Ferguson, he has boxed before, so he does have he could do a tight guard and all that. I just feel like he chooses not to, because he does just kind of flow and do Imanari rolls and just whatever, because he's really confident, or try to get ankle picks, what I'm saying? Because he has wrestling, he has 10th Planet Black Belt Jiu-Jitsu under Eddie Bravo. So, I mean, he does like to use everything he has, and just kind of do a lot of stuff, but he does tend to defensively leave himself open a lot. And Bobby Green had a knockout loss, was it Drew Dober, and then him and Green, or who did he fight last? Jared, right? Yeah, that, I can't even remember right now. Damn, brain fart. But yeah, he has looked good. Like, even before in the Dober fight, he was actually piecing up Dober until he just got caught. But the hands down style. But I mean, zigged when he should have zagged. Whatever it is. But I mean, this style, I think. And he also has a wrestling background, at least high school wrestling. And Tony Ferguson obviously was like a national champ, but in college. But I still feel like with Bobby Green's wrestling and MMA experience, I mean, both these guys have had a million fights. I mean, look at 29 and 14. I mean, Bobby Green's basically had 44 fights. Tony Ferguson had 26 and 8. So, I mean, he's had 34 fights. I mean, these guys have had like so many fights. I mean, they've seen it all. There's nothing that, let me take that back, because I'm talking about just in straight like hands or whatever, like they're weathered, but it's kind of weird, because like, how do you train for Tony Ferguson? He's a little awkward or whatever. And Bobby Green with the hands down style and talking crap too, and just like, nope, almost got me, but just not quite. Like when he's making you miss, and he's looking good out there, and just being right in the pocket but making you miss, and just But Ferguson with the longer reach, maybe he could catch him with something. But I would like to see Ferguson, if he worked his wrestling, like if he did that, if he implemented that game plan where it's just a wrestling heavy, which is hard at altitude. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're going to get tired faster, but I mean, Tony's always been a cardio machine. So, I mean, 3 rounds, I think he can hang whatever, he could do 20 rounds probably, but, he's always been just a cardio freak himself, insane pace. So, I mean, I feel like if he did try to do the wrestling thing and just be on top with his jiu-jitsu game, with his darce chokes and his, he's just triangles. I mean, he's a beast on the ground for sure. Elbows, sharp elbows. He's got the reach advantage, but he's gonna have to, because he was actually looking good even against Chandler before he got knocked out. When he got memed, that was sad to see. But he was actually piecing up Chandler and had him hurt too. So I mean, he wasn't like he was looking bad. It was just he got caught. Just like Bobby Green when he lost to Dober, he just got caught. He was winning. So I mean, both these guys have a lot to prove. This is like a BMF card, so. What better guys that have two OGs that have, 30 plus fights between, each, 30 and 40, 34, 44. So, I mean, that's a great fight. All the experience, two bad, ass fighters, and they're going to bring it. It's going to be a show. I mean, I'm picking Bobby Green to win this fight. I mean, it's kind of hard for me I always like Ferguson too, so it's really hard for me to pick, like against one or the other, but I'm making a pick, and I feel like Ferguson actually, if he can implement his wrestling and do all that, then maybe he could do something. I don't say he just like holds down Bobby Green and takes him down, submits him or whatever, but I think just mixing it up like that, making him think, and, he might have the better cardio, get more dominant positions, and be able to cut him open with some elbows or something. But I feel like this fight's going to stay standing. I feel like Tony Ferguson will try for some takedowns here and there, and Bobby Green will be able to stifle them for the most part and stay out of danger and just be able to just use his, little, I think just better boxing really, like just, and timing and all that and accuracy and power, so I think he could piece him up and take him apart. Pick him apart over 3 rounds. It's kind of, I don't know about finishing Ferguson other than like Chandler, like Gagey, but he didn't actually get finished. I mean, I think, I think it's probably going to go a decision, honestly. 3 rounds. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard if Ferguson goes to decision. I know he hasn't won. He's lost 5 straight, but yeah, I just think it's probably a decision, Bobby Green, or a finish. I mean, damn, maybe a TKO. Maybe a TKO, but I don't, like I said, in 3 rounds, Ferguson's not going to be that easy to beat or finish, so yeah, I'll say Bobby Green by decision, most likely. But in a banger, there's going to be action-packed. These guys are going to bring it. There's been a little bit heat. They actually kind of got into it in the press conference a little bit. Apparently, Bobby Green texted Tony on Father's Day just asking, like, is this you? Is this El Cucuy or something like that? Because he wasn't sure. He just found his number or whatever. And then Ferguson was like, Happy Father's Day or something like that. And then Green was like, Happy Father's Day back. But I guess Tony Ferguson didn't like the text to begin with. I don't know. So there was a little bit of beef there. And then Ferguson yesterday saying that when he looked into Bobby Green's eyes, he saw fear. And then Bobby Green was just like, you better fucking look again. Like just, you better fucking look in my eyes again. Like take those, he said like take those sunglasses off before you trip over a wire. Because that happened to him and took him out of a Khabib fight. I think it was the 4th one, actually. The 4th time they tried to make that, when he tripped over a wire, like the eve of the fight, and they pulled out and had sustained an injury. So I mean, yeah, that was we got robbed on that one. We could all say, oh, what Khabib would have done if, like, because of what other people have done to Ferguson since then, but both of them in their prime, who knows? I mean, at that time, when they were going to make those fights, Ferguson was on top of the world too. So I mean, you can't just count him out by what has happened since then. Because you stay around long enough, shit, everybody's going to lose. I mean, Khabib included, whoever, So, yeah, that's that fight. I mean, that's a banger. Like I said, those are just the first 2 fights of the main card. I mean, insane. It's just, like I said, this card is just stacked. It's unbelievable. Like, it's one of the better cards. And then after that, we got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the Karate Kid, against Michelle Pahea. Okay, and it's funny because in the press conference they were talking. Someone asked a question. Like I said, there was not much happening in the press conference, but someone asked a question about him, like if he would be the nicest MFer belt, nicest motherfucker belt, like NMF. Like, and of course, obviously, he's a nice guy, but I think that's almost, I don't want to say fake, but like he's not that nice, because look what he's doing to like Kevin Holland. He landed every freaking kick, every technique he ever practiced in his life on Kevin Holland, and just kept serving him. Like, so it's like he's not that nice. Now when you close those cage doors, he's not nice. But all up until there, he's gonna be smiles. If he's doing a freaking hook kick or something, yeah, he might smile at you. But he's a dog. He's definitely a dog. Been in so many like 58, 59-0 kickboxing record. So I mean, definitely he's had so much experience in there with all types of styles, except for Michel Pereira, which I was about to say, because Michel Pereira has a very unique style, kind of like a capoeira, Muay Thai, cartwheel, gymnastics, whatever, matrix type style, just whatever he feels like doing. Just insane, explosive, athletic, just athlete, like he could do a backflip and try to make it land like a flying knee or a kick or something, right? Just do something crazy. And there will be danger there, as far as at least the first round or so, round and a half, I would say, with Pereira landing something huge on Thompson. He has been knocked out before, but, and obviously Pereira will be a little better on the ground, but Wonder Boy is not that as easy as people think to take down and control there and hold, because he's a strong guy, and he's also got a freaking pencil neck, so he's not that easy to choke out. Like, that's Tyron Woodley, who tried for a long time, and you could gash your arms out doing that. You get more tired, especially in altitude, especially coming out explosive like Pereira does. And I think Pereira's best chance is to get a finish in the first round or so, round and a half. If not, it's just going to be Wonder Boy just piecing him up and landing all these slick techniques and just being out of range because his movement's so good. With a side kick, keeping him away. Pereira does have, like I say, he has some strong techniques, front kicks. I mean, crazy kicks himself, but I think he blows his wad a lot too, and especially in altitude. I mean, I just see Wonder Boy just a little bit more efficient with his energy, landing the shots that, a lot of some pitter-patters type shots. They're scoring points. Then also he lands some dingers, I mean? They're just start dazing people, and I feel like Wonder Boy's either going to get the finish or I kind of feel like this will go a decision. I think it's going to be a Wonder Boy decision, like a unanimous decision. I think it'll just be a little bit more crisp, a little sharper, a little more volume, be able to sustain that and land just more accurately and stay away more, because he does have good movement and he stays on his toes and, he's moving side to side a lot. But Hayes, just like I said, he just kind of comes balls to the wall, crazy, all out Rambo, whatever you want to say. And I just think it's going to be Stephen Wonderboy. It may be a TKO, but I'm thinking more like a decision. But like I said, another banger fight. Like, not like it's going to be some boring decision where nothing happened. Like, these guys are coming to fight. Like, Michelle's always coming to destroy. That's just on his mind. That's the type of fighter he is. And Wonderboy, he is too. Like I said, he's a dog. The nice guy thing, yeah. But, at the end of the day, he is a dog and a destroyer, so speaking of destroyers, we got Jan Blachowicz against Alex Poatan Pereira. And I'll say right off the bat, I'm going for Alex. I'm going for him because I'm a fan, the whole kickboxing thing. I was going for him against Izzy both times. Izzy got the knockout last time. So what I like about him, too, is also he seems to have no ego, really. Like you would think, he just got knocked out. But no, he's ready to fight again. 3 months later, he's right back in there. And he's actually was being homies with or training or something with, like, Adesanya and Sean Strickland, who he fought before. And so it shows actually more humble than just that freaking cyborg-looking demeanor, killer, shell that he has on the out, he obviously a killer inside the ring too, but, he looks like a freaking madman psycho type dude, but he's actually pretty cool, like, to be able to train with Strickland and try to learn from him and teach, and same thing with Adesanya. At first when this fight got announced, I was thinking, man, this is the worst matchup they could do for Pereira if they want him to win the belt. Like, why would you put him up against Jan? And, he could just potentially do what he did to Adesanya and hold him down for a couple rounds, like 2-3 rounds at the end to get the decision. But I started more. I've been thinking about it, and I see Alex actually is a favorite in this fight. I don't feel like Jan is that type of wrestler where he's just going to be able to take Alex down. And Alex, I keep saying Alex, and holding him down. I think it'd take a lot of strength to do that as well in altitude It's only 3 rounds. There was talks of this being for a title, after Jamal Hill vacated the belt, that this would be for an interim belt until Yuri comes back for light heavyweight. But that, that there was rumors, and then they just didn't do it. Which I think either way I'd have been cool with. Honestly, it sucks that Pereira would have got a title shot right after a loss, but same thing happened with Chael Sonnen and John Jones. Like he got a title shot. It's just a circumstance. There's injuries. Other people aren't fighting or stepping up to fight, and he's ready to fight. So, I don't know what happened to the 6-month suspension I thought you were supposed to get when you get knocked out. That's the one concern I do have, is if he does get hit with something big, will he be, recovered enough from the Izzy knockout? But same time, he is going to be at 205. That's 20 less pounds he has to cut. So, he's definitely going to be a little better hydrated, more fluids in his brain, just overall just stronger as well. Because he's fought at 205. He was a Glory, 185 and 205 double champ over there. He was a champion Glory. So he's fought 205 plenty. And if anything, I think he'll be stronger. He's definitely gonna be faster than Jan. Jan's not that fast. Jan has some crazy kicks. He has great leg kick defense himself. Like, he checks a lot of kicks, and it does do damage. And Pereira throws a lot of kicks, a lot of leg kicks, but he feints a lot. Oh, I would say Pereira's not so much of a feinter, but maybe if he makes a read where a feint could work against Jan with the leg kicks to land the left hook, maybe, get him to react. And it is kind of weird that the more you actually dissect the matchup, like, Jan is susceptible to left hooks. He's been knocked out by left hooks. And Pereira has one of the scariest left hooks, like, in history, or at least of fighting now, but of, like, history, just devastating, So he's put a lot of people out with that. And I seen a video of Izzy saying that he feels like Alex is going to win, and that Alex actually hits harder than Jan, which is pretty crazy, thinking that supposedly Jan's the bigger guy, he's the natural 205er, and Jan does look thicker, but when you see them in the stare down and everything, like Pereira looks skinnier or whatever, but he's just more kind of ripped, but he looks bigger, dude. He's huge, he's a huge freaking guy. So he feels perfect at 205. He could fight heavyweight for sure. Both these guys, maybe. I don't know if Jan could fight heavyweight, maybe, because he is a little bit, he's like, 6'1", 6'2"-ish. Pereira 6'4", 6'5". I don't know. He's tall. So, Pereira definitely could just not cut weight and be at heavyweight, I'm sure, and be fine. If you're walking around at 230, 225, 230, I'm sure, just fight at that weight, you'll be okay with the lighter heavyweights anyway. But yeah, this fight is the one I'm looking forward to the most. And I'm picking Pereira by knockout, either the second round. I think he gets a read on him. The leg kick start early, pressures Jan back. I think a lot of people are underestimating Pereira's ground game, just because Izzy reversed the takedown attempt by Alex in the first fight and ended up on top for a good portion of the round, if not, a good 3 minutes of the round. But at the same time, I also feel like Pereira was kind of resting in that, once he took no damage on the ground. He wasn't in danger of submissions. Yeah, he didn't try to get up, but if anything, I think he was trying to catch his breath, because they came out at a crazy pace the first 2 rounds, throwing a lot of leg kicks, throwing a lot of stuff. So, I think if anything, maybe he just took that round off, like a fight it is. But if this is just a straight stand-up fight where Jan's having limited success, and it's just a banger, a kickboxing match, basically. Jan has tools. He has Polish power. He has nice body kicks, like what he did to Dominic Reyes, nasty body kicks. Immediate freaking impact on the body. But you have Pereira, who just throws these devastating leg kicks. Every kick he throws and punch, his left hook, he's just setting it up for that. And he don't need a lot of space. There's no wind-up with it. His defense is a little lacking a little bit too, because I think he's more like even Sean Strickland said when they train together, like they're all offense. He's all offense and no defense. But I think it's just the whole kickboxing style. You're used to the big gloves. You kind of use them more to deflect shots and stay out of range and just kind of inch your way out and inch your way right back, head up. So I think it's a little different. But Izzy was able to time Pereira and just be so quicker. He's quick. He was quicker than Pereira to the punch. He beat him to the punch at that moment. He saw the opportunity, threw a fastball right at his face, and knocked him out. So Pereira's definitely gonna be faster than Jan. You know, Jan's a little slower, prodding type fighter. And you got to factor in the fact that Alex Pereira was training Glover Teixeira, and they game planned together to beat Jan. And Glover made it look easy. You know, I mean, obviously Glover is a better wrestler than both these guys and grappler all around. But, you know, Pereira is still training with Glover and game planning. This is the second time they're game planning for Jan after Glover beat him easily, kind of. I don't want to say easily, but, you know, made it look easy anyway. And then, so that's huge, you know, and that's where I think Pereira is going to thrive. You know, he has the experience. He works with Glover. Glover hits just as hard as these guys, I'm sure, as Jan. So, I mean, Glover's always had good boxing as it is. So, I mean, training with these guys, bringing in Strickland. Strickland's a little undersized, but still just the whole, you know, the timing of it or the style or just whatever. They were just training, you know, whatever together. But, yeah, I got Pereira winning this by knockout, first, second round. I think, I mean, maybe the second, but I'm hoping I don't know. Like I said, I'm rooting for the guy. I want to see him get to 205. He gets that belt because the winner of this is definitely going to be guaranteed the belt. Like Ankalaev, who knows what's going on with that guy, or who knows how long Jamal Hill's going to be out with his Achilles. It's going to be a long time. So, and Yuri probably the end of the year. So there's perfect timing for these guys to come back. You know, and then Jamal Hill, when he comes back, you can get the winner of, you know, that fight. You know, so I mean, next year, you know, so because he deserves it. He didn't lose it. He didn't have to vacate it. I think he got some pressure on the UFC. Like Uncle Dana's like, nah, you just got this belt. You know, you were ranked 6, and now you're hurt playing basketball of all things. Like, nah, I think you better relinquish this belt. But nah, I don't know, vacate it. But yeah, man, these fights are insane. I can't wait. That's only 4 fights. There's still another fight to talk about, which is crazy. It's just crazy how good this card is. You know, you talk about Derek Lewis and Cachoeira, and there's a lot of good undercard fighters as well. I didn't even talk about any of them, you know. But then, yeah, here it brings us to the BMF strap part 2, part 2. Dustin Poirier versus I always keep Dustin and Justin. God, it's kind of confusing. Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, DP, I mean, at first when this was announced, I was thinking DP all day, double penetration. Just kidding. Now I was thinking Poirier just because he has experience. He beat him already. He's a lot crisper and he's a lot better with his leg kicks. Like when they first fought, like a lot of people would talk about Justin Gaethje's leg kicks, and they're brutal, and he always uses them. You know, now I think he's a little more uses them a little more sparingly because he's trying to set up a better, you know, have better just entries and just more efficient with his striking. As a, you know, since obviously if it wasn't for this fight, Dustin Poirier beating Gaethje and Eddie Alvarez, he wouldn't have evolved. You know, he took those losses, learned from them, and said, all right, I was that type of guy. You know, like I don't care about a wall fight like this every time. You know, until you got your, I don't say his ass beat, but he lost. You know, got finished. So that kind of woke him up to like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't do this. You know, I do have skills. You know, I'm a freaking All-American wrestler. I mean, I could do, you know, I'm training under Trevor Whitman, you know, so boxing, you got down, striking, I mean, great camp. You just fight a little smarter and you could be right there, you know, and he has been right there. He's interim champ. Was he interim champ? Well, he lost to Khabib for the belt, but either way, he's right there. You know, he's been one of the best fighters, and he looked great against Chandler. His last fights, he's been looking great. Again, he's showed a lot more improvements. I think that Poirier hasn't improved much because he always kind of had good boxing, good jiu-jitsu. You know, so I won't say he's haven't improved, but he's obviously sharpening his tools. He's definitely sharper, and I think the one improvement he has had is his leg kicks. Like, his leg kicks were freaking ridiculous against Conor, both fights. I mean, I can't remember the other fights before that, but he was coming in, or with Oliveira, all that. He was coming in with some nasty leg kicks himself, the little calf kick. And his boxing, his combos are just ridiculous. They've always been. I mean, that's what happened in the first fight. Like, you know, if you want to go toe to toe with Dustin Poirier, he's gonna make you miss, and he's gonna land 2 or 3 and just keep coming. You know, with his shots. I mean, he throws a lot of fire. He has a lot of firepower, and just with both hands, and just volume, and just like really efficient with it too. And that doesn't really get gassed on the feet. He could do that all day. You know, he could gas maybe on the ground, but I think both these guys could have that issue if they try to wrestle. Like Gaethje, maybe he will try to wrestle a lot more, but altitude, I don't think that would be too wise because unless he is going to try to get the finish, I don't think Gagey don't really have the jiu-jitsu. Maybe he does. He just hasn't shown it, but he don't really have the subs and all that. Like, like Poirier. Poirier is pretty dangerous off his back. He has triangles. He has arm bars. I mean, chokes, his guillotine. Almost got Khabib with that and was champ. But this fight is really hard to pick. I've been back and forth. At first, I was leaning Poirier right off the bat. Like, I know Poirier because he being the first time, the experience, and he's looked great. But now I'm starting to think, man, I don't know. Gagey has improved a lot. He has, I think, more. He does have a lot of power, and he definitely has that dog in him. He does get hurt sometimes, too. Oliveira hurt him. Chandler hurt him, but that's the one thing where I felt like Gagey showed a lot of maturity and improvement was that when Chandler rocked him, or I don't know how rocked he was, but he folded him over basically. So, yeah, I think he was pretty rocked. But Gagey kept his composure and took over that fight. He didn't get into that slugfest with Chandler. Maybe he would have lost that fight, but he actually was a technically better striker and more patient and just made Chandler look bad after that. So, I mean, by not, going into that fight, not being drawn into a war, so if Gagey fights smart like that and picks his shots, then yeah, he could hurt anybody, he could rock anyone. He should pick and choose with his leg kicks, not use too much wrestling because he don't have the best gas tank sometimes. It's just 'cause I think he's going all out, so it's tiring. But if you're at altitude, he trains at Team Elevation, so he might actually have the adjustment to the altitude more than Poirier, have that advantage because Poirier's went there for 2 weeks. He said, I'll be there 2 weeks out. I don't know the altitude of Louisiana, but Gagey being at Team Elevation, Colorado, I mean, he's going to have that advantage. And how hungry is Poirier? I mean, he has a lot of hot sauce, for sure. That's getting backed by the UFC. He's making money. I mean, he loves the money for sure. He's getting money fights left and right, every fight basically. Now he's part of that where he's going to be part of whatever money fight. These fights sell themselves too. These guys don't need a trash talk. They fought already. It was one of the best fights of the year. This has fight of the year written all over it as well. So, I mean, and it's for a belt. Fake or not, it's a dope belt. And I don't know, man. I'm still back and forth with this. I'm still thinking DP might be able to catch him again and rock him. But at the same time, is Gagey that improved? I mean, I am back and forth. I could see Gagey if he did make those improvements and he can be composed and land a big shot. It's a lot of ifs in that sentence, but I mean, those leg kicks, I think that's what gave him the best chance. Like if he could have had the same ferocity with his leg kicks and tenacity, there you go, with the leg kicks as he did in that first fight. Because Dustin said that his legs hurt for like a month. He just took a beating there, but he was able to withstand it and knock out Gagey or finish Gagey, TKO. So I was thinking if he came with that same ferocity, maybe he could, but just a little bit more controlled ferocity, not like leaving himself open, hands down type of thing, which I think he's definitely corrected under Trevor Whitman. Then he could land that shot, instead of, because he has enough power. But if you're just throwing power like wildly against somebody like a seasoned boxer like Poirier, he's gonna make you pay, and he's gonna make you roll with, he's gonna roll with one to make you miss or even eat one because he has a good chin himself. And he's going to land a combo. He's not just going to land one punch. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm still back and forth with this fight. This fight's so 50-50 to me. I mean, the hot sauce versus I don't know, man. Something tells me Gagey's going to do it. It's hard to pick these fights like this when they're this close and it's a rematch. So maybe they'll do it again. But they'll start defending the BFMF belts. That'd be all right, whatever. Just back like in WWF days or WWE, we used to have NWA or whatever those wrestling organizations. They had a television champion, the Intercontinental champion. They had all these different titles. All it means is more money, more pay-per-views, more, exposure, whatever. It's cool. It's whatever. It's not a world championship or whatever, but it's fun. I don't know, man. I think I'm leaning Gagey now. I think I've heard a lot of people like going that way. I don't know. It's like, dude, Poirier for sure. As Poirier finally just kind of like, not as hungry, not training as hard. I mean, I don't know if he would do that. It seems like his mindset incredibly strong. I'm flip flopping back with this. I can't even be convicting with this pick and say like Gagey, because this whole time I kind of been up until the last couple of days I've been thinking Poirier, and then the more I look at it, the more I think about it or overthink it, I'm thinking Gagey has a better chance. But now I think I'm gonna stick with my original because I was thinking Chandler. Like, Poirier was able to actually finish Chandler. That's the difference too. Like, and kind of had some adversity in that fight himself. It's like it's definitely gonna be a fireworks freaking war. It's just gonna be a crazy fight, insane either way, no matter who takes it. But yeah, I'm leading. I'm gonna stay with DP. I'm gonna stay with the double penetration. Nah, I'm gonna stay with the Louisiana. I'm gonna stay with the hot sauce. I got DP. So that kind of wraps up my picks. Yeah. So that pretty much wraps those up. That's what I just want to talk about. It's been a while, but yeah, UFC 291. I'm gonna be there. Hopefully, I've run into some fighters or at least some fight fans. I don't know what there is to do in Utah. Salt Lake City. A little nervous. I know it's like Mormon land or whatever, but hopefully everything's cool. You know what I mean? So I can't wait. I'm excited. Yeah, this whole fight card is insane. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I got.